Less than 48 hours after one of the most devastating tornadoes in the history of Ohio tore through this small community, residents beginning the slow, painstaking process of picking up the pieces. Good evening to you, Laura. 45 seconds. That is the amount of time that elapsed from the moment Alfred Evans walked into the Bengals Food Mart on Airport Highway, handgun drawn, demanding money, and until the moment he lay dead on the floor, having been shot to death by the store clerk. It was the latest and deadliest in a string of gun battles between store owners and would-be robbers. Well, since I came to you at the top of the hour, there's been some activity behind me, and Adam is going to zoom into the top of this grain cellar. You see a crane is in place. And
Toledo native and former NFL star Jeremy Lincoln was one of 3 men arrested in the parking lot of this West Central Avenue lounge in the early morning hours of June 26th. Arrest that Toledo Police Chief Mike Navarre now says should never have happened.
Lincoln and some of his former NFL teammates were in Toledo on Friday the 25th for a training camp at Central Catholic High School. Later, the group went to celebrate at Arnie's. Shortly after midnight, the players were approached by off-duty police officers, 2 of whom had gone to high school with Lincoln.
They were essentially accosted by, police officers, undercover officers, and then arrested without any probable cause.
Lincoln and 2 friends were arrested and charged with disorderly conduct. The owner of Arnie's didn't want to appear on camera, but did tell me today that the 3 men were drunk and acting loudly. The officer who made the arrest, Michael Johnson, was an off-duty cop working security at Arnie's that night. In his interview with Internal Affairs, he admitted he did not witness what happened inside the bar, but made the arrest based on conversations with 2 off-duty cops inside the bar, Jeremy Carey and Kevin Braun.
It's really unclear why the arrests were made or why they were handcuffed.
In their Internal Affairs interviews, Braun and Carey both admitted to drinking that night. When asked how much, Carey answered, a couple, a handful. Lincoln was in Toledo yesterday for his annual turkey giveaway. The June 26th incident still bothers him.
And, we were just really here, trying to help my community. I get a lot of my friends that give it their time to come to Toledo, when they could be with their families in the summer. And it was just an unfortunate event.
The disorderly conduct charges were dismissed. Chief Navarre declined to speak on camera, but did tell me over the phone that he considers Lincoln to be a great ambassador for the city of Toledo, that he had sat next to him at community events, that were it not for miscommunication between the officers, the arrest would not have been made, and that he would like to meet with Lincoln in person to apologize.
What we have here is a guy who's made it, but he comes back to Toledo twice a year and does good deeds. He does his football camp in the summer, in which he brings retired football players to help train inner city youth on football. And he brings a lot of his NFL friends with him. After talk, a lot of them were there that night and they witnessed what happened, and a lot of them have said they're not going to come back to Toledo now.
The video does not lie. 2 Toledo police officers are seen trying to subdue 14-year-old Trevor Casey. Here, the officer's hand is covering the teen's mouth. When the officer removes his hand, the boy's face can be seen covered with blood.
In my opinion, one officer could have subdued him even if he was resistant or doing anything remotely close to that. He's only 120 pounds. Them officers, as you can see, is 250 plus with muscle.
Toledo police so far have been silent on Friday afternoon's events. Witnesses say the teen angered the 2 officers by not quickly following orders to leave the area. Trevor's older sister has not been the same since seeing the video.
I was sick. There was no words for the way I felt for what they did to me.
This is the spot where 14-year-old Trevor Casey can be seen on the video being choked and beaten by the 2 officers until Casey's bruised and bloodied body falls motionless to the ground.
My mother spoke to him while he was in the juvenile detention center, and he said he could feel the life coming out of him. Just for my little brother to say that makes me feel a lot of resentment, a lot of anger.
That anger is aimed directly at the 2 officers.
I believe and I feel and I know, it's wrong for me to feel the way I feel. But I want them to experience what we experience in our family. I want them to feel all the pain that they put my brother through, everything that they did to him. I want them to have to experience all of that.
Around 11 o'clock this morning, NBC 24 went to the Westmore apartment complex on North Byrne Road, where we met with office manager Pat Jones, who could not believe that for a 3rd consecutive day, the carcass was still lying on the ground.
Well, the stench is getting worse, and it's going to be coming into our apartments. people here are anywhere from 75 to 95 years old. None of them are capable of dragging a deer out to the road.
NBC 24 made a phone call to a spokesperson in Mayor Bell's office who promised prompt action. Around noon, a worker from Streets, Bridges, and Harbors showed up, but he said he did not have the right truck and would have to go and get it. And so residents, eager to get their July 4th barbecue started, waited patiently until the worker returned.
We're having a 4th of July picnic with about 35 people, so it's not going to be pleasant sitting out or eating and looking at a dead deer.
Around 1 p.m., the city worker returned and, after a few minutes, lifted the dead deer onto the back of his truck and started on his way to the animal's final resting place, the city landfill. And while there is some dispute about whether the carcass was on public or private property, resident Terry Steffen says it shouldn't have taken this long.
Either way, this thing should have been gone Saturday. It shouldn't be sitting out here for 3 days in the sun and creating this health hazard for everybody.
Everyone is happy the deer is gone and the July 4th barbecuing can begin. Mike Zhang has come a long way in a short time. For 3 months, he sat in an immigration detention facility near Cleveland, where each day he lived with the fear that at any moment he would be taken from his cell and put on a plane back to China. But thanks to some influential friends, Zhang is free.
People that helping me, they got good heart, very good heart. I just so touched by their generosity, and they're so kind.
Not only is Mike happy to be back inside his kitchen doing what he does best, so are his customers.
I'm very happy that they opened. I've been coming here for years. Oh, the food is great. Tasty, reasonably priced, and just terrific.
When Mike was taken into custody in September, one of the first people to call his wife Sherry with the offer of help was former Toledo Mayor Carty Finkbeiner.
And then to have the husband, Mike, on the verge of being departed back to his home country when he and his wife and children have been here and so much a part of our culture for the last few years with this Dynamite restaurant that we're standing within the doors of right now, that just seemed terribly unfair.
Zhang's case is not over. He will have a hearing before a federal panel in Cincinnati sometime next year. Mayor Finkbeiner urged them to keep in contact with local politicians.
But we don't want to take anything for granted. We want to keep them working with Marcy Kaptur, our 2 United States senators, immigration authorities.
I hope that I can be able to stay here and do what I'm doing, and we'll go from there. As long as I can stay here, everything will be okay.
This family represents it, represents that work ethic and that attitude and that spirit. So God bless them. There they are right back there. God bless them. God bless you for bringing this message to all of the people of Northwest Ohio.
Hubert Wiggins, WNWO News.